Here's the other thing.
He's getting going, folks. He's getting going.
In the movie galaxy of the YouTube universe, we've landed on Frame Rate Studio, your guide for all things movie. I'm Corey.
And I'm sick Chad. And if you watched our episode on Avatar, you know we definitely had some strong feelings about the franchise and if we thought it needed more movies. I get the studio wants a sequel, but it doesn't mean it needs a sequel.
3D has lost its pull.
So I remember after we filmed the Avatar episode, and we felt remiss that we left out that Way of Water, once we looked it up on IMDb, was going to be 3 hours and 10 minutes long.
A lot of things can happen in 3 hours. Ask the skipper and Gilligan.
3 hour tour, a 3 hour tour.
A lot of bad shipwrecks. That's what they're called, shipwrecks.
If you've watched it, you kind of know that there is some of that in there.
That's why it's Titanic too.
So I was the first one who took the plunge and went and saw it in the theaters. And I think Corey can attest to getting the call from you when I came out of the theater that I was...
Kind of like getting a phone call from a 6-year-old little girl at her birthday party.
Wow, thanks. Thanks, Corey. Anyway.
No, he was very excited, so I humbled myself and I took my family to go see it. And in fact, we both have seen it twice. Well, my first time going to see it, though, I went to see it on a regular 3D screen, not an IMAX. And I will say, go see it on an IMAX 3D because I walked away from it thinking, there's not much difference in the 3D. In fact, I felt like the 3D was not that great. But when you go see it in the IMAX, it definitely is very immersive. You can actually feel like you're almost in it.
But that was really what made us want to do this episode was how much I did talk about it. And it's like, well, this would be great to then go back and kind of tell our former selves. And it's like, yeah, you might have been a little harsher than you needed to on maybe not on the first film. I will still stress that, but on this as a franchise, give it a little bit more time.
I want to start off by saying a little bit more about the 3D. I will say it was a lot more crisp, that you can see things clear, and I think that comes down to the advancement of the CGI. The CGI, that was tremendous. I didn't see as much cartoon effect as what I referred to in the second one and during the action scenes. It was a lot. So I had difficulty telling what was CG and what was actuality. And if you go watch Channel Corridor Crew, they touch base on one of the scenes that they actually change from the original trailer to when you go into the movie.
There's a new version of that shot. This is
the difference, and you can barely tell the difference of these two different shots that are CG and one is not.
I thought the 3D felt much better. I thought it felt even more immersive this time around. The CG in this, we almost get to the point where we're crossing the uncanny valley. The Na'vi and the avatars, to me anyway, looked so unbelievably like real. But also the motion captured.
I thought we lost them.
Does such a better, I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't good in the first one, but does an even better job in this one of really capturing the actors and their emotions. I think it was just the effects really that probably the visual aspect of it really blew me away.
Two things I will bring out that I saw a great improvement for the CG is, one is the machinery, the vehicles and different things. They looked more realistic. Just the way they function. But there's one scene I was very impressed on was when the Colonel was dragging Spider to get onto the helicopter and they were walking their steps.
Oh, yeah?
The fact that the Na'vi is so tall and would have these huge strides, humans, especially if you're only 15 years old, you're going to have a greater step rate than the Na'vi, and it was so awesome to look at that and go, wow. However, if I may go into my negative of it.
Why do you have to? But yes.
This movie felt like a lot of his other films. I got a sense of Titanic That's why I said when I was watching, I was like, holy cow, we did get a Titanic too. Then when the ship, at the beginning, when the ships come in, which by the way, if the ships came in that way in the first one, no wonder the Na'vi don't trust them. And so that made me think of T2, just the way the flames came across
Okay.
there.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
When, again, for that is when the colonel is holding his own skull and he crushes it.
Okay.
Beginning of T2, the
Oh,
stepping down,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
smashing it.
yeah. I think the other effect that I think people are still having a hard time getting right, babies just, they don't do, I don't know what it is, if they can't get the motion capture, I don't know what it is, but the babies in this, to me, reminded me of the little rock monster creatures from Galaxy Quest.
I felt more like Nirvana put out a Na'vi album.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. That, I mean, it is Way of Water, and that shot on that one is, yeah, in the water. So I think it's much improved, is the story. But if you're going out there and you want a thinker with subtext, don't go to this movie. This is a feeler. But in the way he constructs it and the way they put it together, it has much more emotional impact.
Now, as far as the story, my issue with that is, first of all, let me clarify on it. I love the story. The main story, it's really good. It's a good family story. However, there are too many subplot stories. You have Jake and the Colonel. You have the sibling rivalry between the two different clans. You have the budgeting romance between at least two characters, if not there's four, possibly. You have Jake and his family trying to adapt as soon as they're coming in. You have the Tukuns and that bonding between
just
them.
call them whales. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
I
whales.
get we're calling them the Na'vi name, but yeah, they're just the whales. Yes.
Yeah, that sub-story. You have why is Kiri so special? What's going on there?
Yeah. Well, and you didn't touch on, also you have the whole thing of the Colonel. Spider is his son.
Oh, yeah.
I liked the addition of that from the sense that I think it helped make the Colonel a better character. They did a much better job of fleshing that character out. I did like the change that, and I think it would have helped actually in the first one with some of the characters, that it's kind of just a quick line, but saying that the Earth is dying. So this is where they're basically the humans are now going to have to come. They're coming to colonize because they need a place to go. I think that would have helped the first one.
But
go ahead.
Here's a fault in it. Spider brings this up.
Okay.
It's not fair that you can breathe our air for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And I go out for 10 seconds and I will die.
Yeah.
Why are we trying to colonize another planet where we can't even breathe their air? Here's the other thing.
He's getting going, folks. He's getting going.
Jake Sully
yes.
has 3 kids. He has those 3. But the 2 boys, let's stick with the genders and everything. The 2 boys, they don't look or sound like him.
Yeah, okay.
So why does Kiri have to be exactly Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah. Well,
why? Why can't you just use some other female? Because what do you want to do? You want to bring in these actors that you've used, and you want to give more to her. So yeah, I have a little bit issues with these stories.
I think that's unfortunate to hear. When essentially, I'm sorry, Carrie looks like she's supposed to be the Navi's version of Jesus, or something along those lines.
Anakin is what came
to
my mind.
Or there you go. Yes.
That
who's
is
supposed to bring balance to all of this or whatever. So, yeah.
One of the things that really also hurt it was its length. The 3 hours was too long because he focuses, again, too much on trying to truly immerse you into this world, which, you could have done it shorter.
Once again, I really loved it. I really did. But it's a lot to ask people to, just for the movie to spend 3 hours in the movie. To keep it positive, or at least all in a positive, that, I think they did a much better job with the character development and getting the best out of the actors. And whether that was the actors themselves, or whether that was a CG, or whether it's a combination of both, I think it was very well done. So, shall we go into our final thoughts?
Before we go into the final thoughts, let me just ask you this.
Yes.
Since we kind of touched on it a little bit, but do we need sequels? Do we need to go further?
Do I want more? Sure. Do we need more? I don't know that we need more. That's always the problem. Or I will say, or maybe I should give the caveat. I don't know that we need more 3-hour sequels. Can we keep it at 2 hours and I'm good? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the last bit that you said was very true. This does strike me up for wanting to see how the world can expand. I like the idea of seeing how this world expands. However, I just don't want it done in 3-hour chunks. But yeah, I'd be willing to see more.
Right. Yeah. And I would agree with that.
Okay, so now we can go into our final thoughts. First off, I want to be saying this, number one, is the CGI is way better. I'm surprised. The characters looked far more realistic. I couldn't believe the improvement on the Na'vi. And also, the cartoon factor was not as noticeable in it. Second point I want to be bringing up is it is a better story and better characters. However, there's too many sub-storylines, subplots, which ruins the main storyline. It just really hinders it. So cut back on the number of subplots, and this is a phenomenal story. Third point, 3 hours is way too long. Again, I feel like Cameron just wanted to showcase his technology and do as much as he can. He wanted to really put Pandora on display, which was cool, but there's too much of it. I would say it in this way. Avatar 1 was too shallow, and this one is too deep.
Nice water theme there for Way of Water. So, my final thoughts. One, it hits you right in the feels. As I said earlier, this is a feeler, not a thinker. Don't go in and expect a lot of subtext. And yes, there's a lot of subplots to Corey's point, but don't expect a lot of subtext or deep thinking. You know, the story and the characters are much more emotionally engaging. You know, it taps into an emotional core and is ultimately a story about what it is to be a part of a family. 2, out of thin air. I get a filmmaker is supposed to create a world out of thin air, something we haven't seen, but the level to the Cameron is taking this to is just amazing. This is a visual spectacle from beginning to end. And, you know, I think the 3D helps to create that overall immersive experience. My third point, bring on the sequels. As I said earlier, I don't know that we need more sequels, but I definitely want more sequels. Seeing what Cameron did visually and the way he improved the story gave me hope for future movies and made me want to see more of this world he has built. So with that said, Corey, how would you score Avatar: Way of Water?
Well, I will say, compared to I think I gave Avatar a 53. I think it was.
Right, yeah.
This is quite a bit better, but I will still say it's not a knockout of the park from what I would think it would be. I gave it a 65.
So my score is a 75 out of 100. I still think it's very, very well done. But there was a couple of those things that I think in the fever of the moment, if you will, that I kind of overlooked them and didn't think about them. And it's like, oh yeah, that does need to be better. So it's still very good score, but I had to pull it down just a little bit. And my original score was 83, so it's not like I took a lot of points off, but I had to take something off because I'm like, yeah, he's made some points that, yeah, I kind of have to change this a little bit. So, but still, very much recommend it. Go see it in IMAX 3D. You know, tell us what you think down in the comments below.
And if you did see it, let us know. Are you ready for more sequels? Are you ready for, I think 2024 is when the fourth one's coming out. Third one.
And as always, the Cast Frame Rate Studio thanks you for joining us on our trek through the movie galaxy of the YouTube universe. This is about feeling. This is totally about being emotionally engaging for me. Nothing more than feeling. Well, if they're still watching now,